When we're talking about the adult development framework, it's important to keep in mind that this is not a race to a finish line. There's not an ultimate destination to get to. It's not a framework where bigger is necessarily better. The different stages that we have the potential to grow through matter only in so much as how much they help us match and make sense of the context that we find ourselves in and the level of complexity in the context that we find ourselves in. Now, if we happen to live our lives in a very, simple enough context where, we have a clear role, we don't feel a lot of tension for other competing roles, and we don't have a lot of demand to make sense of a large number of different perspectives, then there may not be a developmental demand, a reason to need to develop much further, right? This whole framework may not be of interest, right? Somebody may feel, you know what, I'm a good match for my context and this is working for me, and that's great. However, oftentimes when it comes to things like leadership, leading organizational change, really dealing with, lots of diverse people in kind of any context, then things can tend to get pretty complex pretty quickly. And that's when we can start to feel really torn if we have and overwhelmed if we don't develop through the stages to a place where we have access to a broader range of capacities for navigating that kind of a context. Now, just as an example, I think it's useful to share. We don't think about adolescents, for example, as being better humans than toddlers, right? But we do understand them to have different capacities. We have different expectations of them than we would toddlers, right? But this isn't about people being nicer or more intelligent or anything like that, right? Adult development talks about something very specific, and it is cognitive complexity and how broad a range of options can we see, how creative can we be, how broad a range of behavioral flexibility can we bring to any particular situation in terms of how we show up and how we navigate it. Again, if you have a very clear role and you understand what's expected of you in that, you may get away with just operating from a more limited range. But oftentimes, particularly for leaders today, we're challenged to expand our range. To deal with lots of uncertainty, lots of volatility, lots of fast-paced change. And so in that case, it can often be of interest and very useful to consider, what might this vertical development framework have to offer me?